Neil, nice to see you. It's FA Trophy time again. After a tricky run of games over the last few weeks, is this competition a bit of a welcome distraction?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're only possibly 2 games away from Wembley, which is always any motivation you need. But we have got a few battered, bruised, and sore bodies out there at the moment. I was going through the list with the physios today, and it was, as you went through it, you started to wonder whether I needed to get my boots on again, just to. But so yeah, it will give an opportunity for the lads who are raring to show you what they can do, and others who have got some aches and pains maybe need to be given a breather.
Yeah, you mentioned there about rotation and injuries, but has it also been a valuable competition this year to give you a look at the whole squad in general? I'm talking players like Jimmy Knowles, who's really excelled in the competition. Has it been valuable in that respect?
Yeah, because if the team's doing well and you're not sure whether you can break up the rhythm of the team that may have been playing, on the game previously, the other players need games to be ready for when you do want to put them in. And in that respect, these have given people opportunities to state their claim. It's also in a slightly less pressurised environment than the league, where you can try a few things, you can try a couple of players in different positions, etc. So it's worked quite well.
We're still waiting for last year's final to be played, of course. But given the roadmap that we've heard from the Prime Minister this week, the potential return to supporters, does it give a bit of an added incentive to get to Wembley this time around? I know we don't know for certain that the supporters would be there.
I think when the final might get played, there's a good chance that you're going to be going towards that time when they might allow a set amount to be back in if everything goes well. So yeah, that would be an added. If our fans could only go to a couple of games this season and one of them had the opportunity of being at Wembley, especially with what happened last season, then that would be great.
Oxford City, they've been to Meadow Lane before your time in the FA Cup, but it was mighty close in that game. It was only an injury time winner that got knocked through. It's clear they're going to be very up for this. How do you go about preparing to face those sides further down the footballing pyramid?
I just think the main part is getting the motivation levels right. For us, we're 2 games away from Wembley. This is their season now, isn't it? In many ways, with what's happened to the league. So, I'm sure they've had 2 weeks preparing for it. They've probably watched us. They're ready. They'll have a game plan. They'll be ready to come and try and get themselves to Wembley, because it's a big deal. And if our motivation levels don't match theirs, then we're probably likely to be in for a shock.
Cal Roberts was back involved in the week. We all know what he can do, but what have you missed the most about not having him in and around the side in recent months?
I think the thing that Cal, as we all know, brings, he's got that bit of magic. Cal could be quiet in a game, and then turn up with one dribble and one moment of brilliance that opens up the game. And obviously, scoring goals is always is and always will be the hardest part of the game. Actually, at the moment, we're not 100% sure that Cal will be playing on Saturday. He's just feeling the effects of the training and maybe being on the pitch on Tuesday. So we're certainly not going to force him on the pitch if we think there's a chance of setting him back. So he missed training today. He's a little bit sore and stiff. So we'll see how he is tomorrow.
Following him on social media, it seems he's been chomping at the bit to get back playing regularly, and he's been so supportive of the team, the other players too, especially on social media. What's he like to have in and around the camp?
He's great lad. He's got a little bit of devilment in him, which is good. But I try and have a good relationship with all my players, whether I'm kicking them up the backside or putting my arm around them. But sometimes you get certain players where the unique talent that they have got, and you've got to nurture that. And getting someone like Cal to do the work without the ball as well is always the challenge with a player like Cal. But he does it. He's not a lazy player. He'll work for the team. Perhaps the only thing you have to do with him is to try and just tell him he doesn't have to do it every time he gets the ball, because he just wants to beat people and take people on. Put a ball at his feet. He's got a smile on his face. Anything without a ball, he's not so keen on.
We all know about the psychological impacts that an injury can have on a footballer. Thankfully, Cal Roberts has not been out too long in the grand scheme of things. But given all of the other pressures on society at the moment, the pandemic and the mental health implications that's had for so many people around the world, for footballers, have you had to handle it slightly different this time round in terms of the psychological impact on a player, given the circumstances we're in?
Yeah, I think it is. I think everyone suffers through this pandemic. I'm a fairly level-headed guy myself, and I can handle most things and most pressures. But even I've found this tough. Living away from my family and being in a flat on my own has been hard work. And it's the same with the players. And Cal's probably a player who hasn't had too many injuries in his career. And he's had this one that he's getting frustrated with because it wasn't a clear cut, this is what it is and this is how it'll go. It's been trying to get to the bottom of it, and every time he tries to move forward he gets a little niggle or he gets sore or stiff. So he's probably struggled with it a bit more, and I have had several chats with him and just said, this is the nature of the beast, you'll get there. We just have to keep looking for that light at the end of the tunnel.
And finally for me, when the goals have been hard to come by in recent weeks, is there a danger that there could be a lot of pressure placed on Cal when he's back in the side regularly to be that man who makes the difference creatively?
No, I don't think so. I think, I said to him when I brought him on the other day, don't try and do it every time. It wasn't the sort of game where he was going to get loads of chances to do it, but, pick your moments. There'll be a moment when it might be on to make something happen, and pick the right times. The rest of it, you're going on to help the team. And, no, I don't think there is. We got enough. Jimmy Knowles has shown he can score goals. So's Elijah, and then obviously you've got people with 1v1 domination like Enzio and Ruben, and maybe adding Cal to that might free up them even more because you've got to deal with more players and people like Carl Wooten. So I'm not worried. We've lost one game all year. We've lost 1 in 9. We've won 6. I'm not worried. You have moments, you have sticky spells, and if this is our sticky spell, then so be it. If the pitches are heavy and we're having to grind out some results in a sticky spell, then I'll take this as a sticky spell because I've had a lot worse.
Appreciate your time, Neil. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Just on Cal, Neil, is it just natural soreness, stiffness from the work, or is it not a problem with the injury?
Yeah, no, it's not the injury. I think it's Dom's. It's just in and around his thighs and his quads and stuff like that. He's just, he's worked hard. He's doing a lot more ball striking, changing the direction, running, getting the yards into his leg. And then he come on the other day and he's just feeling a bit heavy in his thighs. And sometimes you feel it and your confidence goes. You just think, oh, I'm not 100% sure I can, go out and strike balls. And, and that's where he is at the moment. It's just, he's got to learn to trust himself again. He's had that many little setbacks that it plays on your mind a bit, and we've got to respect that. And he was a little bit sore after Tuesday night, and he's still feeling it again today. So we're not gonna, we'll take a step back. And if Saturday's not quite right for him, then Saturday's not quite right for him.
Would he have to train tomorrow to be involved for Saturday?
Yeah, of course. So he would train tomorrow. So I look a bit stupid because I was telling you all that Saturday was probably the time for him to come back, but that's football. There's nothing you can do. We're all a bit surprised, but Cal will tell us, and his body will tell him, and we'll get him there. And that I'm sure, and hopefully sooner rather than later.
And Jake Reeves, will he be available for the weekend?
I would say it's a doubt. That's my overriding feeling. We've it's probably the right call not to include him on Tuesday. I think he's gone up and done a bit of work. He still feels a little bit of a niggle, so I would say we'll probably need to give him a few extra days.
Have you got any more absentees from the week? Definite absentees.
There's lots that are going to be. I'm going to be risking a lot to start. Connell really jarred his knee on Tuesday night in the game, which was a bit sore after the game. Kyle Wooten's obviously played a lot, as has Doyley. Jordan Barnett had a couple of sort of lumps and swollen parts of his ankle from a couple of his tackles that he goes steaming in for. Dion's played a hell of a lot. So there's a lot of bodies that I could probably, for the right reasons, rule out. But it's a chance for other people, and obviously we want to do well in this competition, but we've got a run of games coming up that's brutal, and what I don't want to do is force things now and end up regretting it further down the line.
I just wanted to ask you about the situation in Conference North, Conference South. I saw Stockport sign a couple of lads from Chorley in midweek. Is that something the club are exploring in terms of transfers? Are they looking further down now that their leagues have ended? And is it something that you could do before the end of the season? Well,
it is something you can do, yeah, of course. Then players want to play football. Of course, that's something you can do. The longer it goes on, the less football they've had. So they don't become someone that's going to hit the ground running. I think you've got till still the same rules a certain point in March. And then the window closes for everybody. So, there's two sides to it. We could go and, if the owners wanted to spend their money, we could go and sign loads and loads of players, but it makes it harder for me to keep everyone happy, because ultimately you can, at the moment with the rules, and I don't agree with them, that you can only have 5 subs. We have 3 or 4 players not even in a squad at times, and what's the point in adding other players to that at the moment, unless it's a glaring hole in your squad or your positions?
And obviously, Oxford City, their season is over. Does that make them more dangerous opponents this weekend? Given this is effectively it. They're one and could be their potentially only last game.
Yeah,
of the campaign.
I think so. I think they've they would have prepared for this game. It will be their whole season's on this game, and they're coming to Meadow Lane, and they're going to come and try and cause an upset. And they were up there in their league. They're a good team, good players. There's a few in there I really like. And absolutely, it's a dangerous game.
And how are you going about it if you've got to make all these changes? I know you very seldom change the style of play, but will the changes impact that at all?
I hope not. We do enough work with players playing in different positions in training and stuff for everybody to know the way we play, whatever shape we play. We've got different patterns, different roles for positions, whether we play with 3 up, 2 up, whatever we decide to do. No, I don't see it changing. We obviously depend on how the opposition come out and try and attack us or stop us or press us. We've got to adapt to that. The players should have all the tools in the armoury. It's just whether they can deliver it on the day.
Obviously, with the news in midweek about fans coming back, how much of it is a carrot to potentially get to Wembley and have give the fans a day out, because obviously they missed the playoff final back in July.
Yeah, that would be the biggest motivation. Getting to Wembley is one thing. Getting to Wembley and playing in front of an empty stadium like last season wasn't very pleasant. Getting there and having 5,000 of our fans there would be something to really, really savour.
And how did you take to the news when you potentially knew that Notts fans could be back inside the stadium in May for the final home game of the season?
I thought it was great. I kind of gave up on this season, if I'm honest. I just thought that there was, the deaths tolls wasn't really coming down, and it was less likely to happen. So that's a bonus for us if everybody keeps doing everything right and we get everything down. So if one of them games is our last home game and one of them's a visit to Wembley in the Cup, then that will be a perfect scenario.